Well, as the sun starts to set on the iconic Empire State Building here from that view from Aqueduct, even better there. The racing action is just heating up on this edition of Aqueduct Insider. Maggie Wolfendale filling in for Jason Blewett, and to my left is the iconic Richard Migliore.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
Iconic.
throwing the compliments out there for you today. But Richie, first we got to get into headlines here, and Alex Solis finally hit that milestone of 5,000 wins this past week out at Santa Anita.
That's just a huge number, and you think about only 28 riders before him being the 29th, to reach that mark, and pretty much most of his wins were on the Major League circuit of Southern California, and he really put himself in some elite company. And I know it took a while, but it must be a huge weight off of his shoulders, and certainly a fitting number for somebody that's already a member of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. A banner year for Alex Solis, to kind of hitting those milestones in his career. And he did it with a long shot, too, for none other than Jerry Hollendorfer in the stakes, the Blue Northern Stakes out at Santa Anita. But another jockey that we have some news on is Cornelio Velasquez, the veteran here at Aqueduct, is back in the saddle again after a fractured collarbone put him on the sidelines recently.
Yeah, and it's good to see his name back on the overnight. Somebody that is as consistent a rider, obviously extremely talented, but he doesn't take a day off. He shows up and gives 120% every single day, and Cornelio Velasquez is my kind of rider, a guy who shows up and rides hard, so it's good to see him back from injury.
And he's always working in the mornings, getting on horses for several trainers in the morning workouts, and he's named on 5 this coming Wednesday. But a bit of a shake-up in tomorrow's feature race, the Jerome Stakes, the first of the 3-year-old preps for the Kentucky Derby, another here then at Aqueduct. El Kabir's scheduled rider, Calvin Morrell, tending to some family business, will not be able to make the trip.
Yeah, and he had won the Kentucky Jockey Club on El Kabir, so I'm sure for the John Terranova camp, it's a little unsettling to have to change riders at this late date, but they have several riders to choose from. They have not named a rider yet. But Maggie, you'd have to think, with a horse of the El Kabir speed and that outside post, somebody that's a good speed rider like Chucky Lopez would have to be someone that would be under consideration.
Yeah, and it's gonna be tough to get this horse to the lead, Richie, with so much speed, with sprinter speed drawn to the inside of him. So he's gonna need an aggressive rider, because let's face it, he does do his best running from the front end.
Yeah, it seems to me like he's a horse that if he's not on the lead, he wants to be close up to the pace. Although talking with his exercise rider, Simon Harris, he says he's been rating well in the mornings behind horses and finishing, so maybe with that post and the inside speed, he'll try a little different tactic.
And you kind of got to think he's going to have to, and I noticed that with his works too. They've kind of been slower and steadier. He seemed as though in those kind of fall-summer works where he was just flat out running off. So I think that's a feather in his cap, and you always like to see that with horses maturing.
When I see some versatility, it's difficult to be a horse that's always a front runner, because then you're basically at the mercy of anybody who wants to take a shot at you.
Yeah, and it's still a long ways away from that 1.25 mile Kentucky Derby. But business to attend to here. Today, it was the Fred Cappy Capossela Stakes, and always a welcome race here in the early stages of this Aqueduct winter meet, and named after one of the legends around here, Richie.
Yeah, Fred Capossela, and he lived in Brooklyn in the same neighborhood I grew up in, and he was truly a legendary race caller and a celebrity here in New York.
Yes, he was, and let's hear it one more time for good time's sake.
It is now post time.
And the rough. Majestic Affair, Ship Disturber, Joe Franklin at the rail. Those 3 out for the early lead, with Don Lupe racing in 4th, and Maid Bale is the trailer up the backstretch. Joe Franklin now in front. Joe Franklin 3/4 of a length over Ship Disturber, with Majestic Affair on the outside in 3rd. Then a break of 2 to the 2 trailers, Don Lupe and Maid Bale. The opening quarter mile, 23 seconds. Joe Franklin from that inside post leads the field into the turn. Joe Franklin by a length. Ship Disturber second by a neck. Majestic Affair on the outside. Now 3 lengths Back to Don Lupe and Maid Bell. Joe Franklin. Here's Majestic Affair now up on the outside to challenge. Ship Disturber is third. They come into the lane. Majestic Affair has now taken a narrow lead from Joe Franklin. Majestic Affair in front. Joe Franklin battles on. Then it's Ship Disturber, Don Lupe, and Maid Bell. And Majestic Affair is kicking clear. Majestic Affair opening up on the field in deep stretch. Majestic Affair, a 6-length winner of the Capossela Stakes. Joe Franklin was second, and Ship Disturber finished third in 1 minute 11.
Final time clocking in at 1:11.3, Richie. And Chad Brown takes down the Fred Cappy Capossela for the second time in recent history, as he did win it in 2012 with Hardin Wildcat as well. But this was a good-looking win for the son of Majestic Perfection.
I thought this was a terrific performance. He was always in good position to win the race. He showed a really good turn of foot coming off of the turn at the quarter pole. And I think this horse was very impressive. The final time was quick for the day, too.
It really was the quickest pretty much of the day, that is, and a guy that we don't usually see here riding Majestic Affair, Kendrick Carmouche, whom Richie caught up with after the big win.
Kendrick, it seems like Majestic Affair is very versatile. He has speed, but he'll rate as well.
Yes, you know, we figured that out last time when we ran him in Laura in the one stake race in Laura, the way he broke a step slow, and I had to adjust to letting him get his feet underneath him, and he ran a very good race that day. Hook a monster for Steve Asmussen, but we come back today and with the same game plans, we let him break good and settle off the pace, and he showed that he can, you know, prevail off the pace.
With that newfound kind of tactic, do you think he'll be able to go much further, or does he look like a sprinter to you?
You know, I think that's what Chad probably want to do in the future, but for right now, that's the races that he had to run in, short distance, and, you know, he does a good job at spotting his horses, him and his owners, and I'm just a pilot. I just got to sit there.
It seems like you've had so much success over the last several years all through the Mid-Atlantic that you might be a welcome addition in the New York County. Have you ever given much thought to moving here?
I think I'm going to try it this winter. You know, me and my agent going to come up mostly on Wednesdays all the way until Sundays and do Philadelphia Mondays and Tuesdays. You know, I always wanted to come to New York. It's just you got to come in the right situation, Rich.
Well, you certainly have the ability. Best of luck in 2015.
Thank you very much.
Well, you can kind of pick up on that Louisiana accent with Kendrick, a native of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Going to have a birthday soon. Is 30 now, looking for birthday 31. And as you said, a welcome addition to the NYRA circuit. He's
an extremely talented rider. He's done all really he can do in the Mid-Atlantic. And he rides for so many of the New York trainers when they ship to Laurel or Parks or Delaware Park. So I think he's going to get a good opportunity here. And I think he's going to comport himself very well in this colony.
I couldn't agree with you more here, Richie. Kendrick is a talented rider. He's kind of battle-tested, if you will. He's been around. He's ridden at different levels, and this is a logical and kind of not overdue, if you will, but a logical step up, and he's paid his dues.
Yeah, it's been time for him to make that step. I thought he might do it last year. They waited. They picked their spots, and I think he's getting some good support, and certainly getting off winning a stake this early in the year for a trainer of Chad Brown's, noteworthiness. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to help him a lot.
Well, as we turn the page to Maiden Special Weights Company, the newly turned 3-year-old New York breds going 6 furlongs with some promising first-time starters. John Embrial with the call.
And they're off. One-sided was away well. Andrews got zip. True Bet is there from the outside. Summer Hawk and Possess. Deficit Hawk is racing in 6th. Wild Ham at the rail in 7th. Then it's Golden Bay next in 8th. On the outside is a Candid Desire in 9th. 5 lengths. Back to Thunder Thief. Lucky Foursome is down at the rail, and Pioneering for Gold trails the field in 12th. The quarter went in 22 and 4/5 seconds. On the inside, it's one-sided. Andrews got zip in between horses. Big long shot, True Bet on the outside. 3 of them heads apart for the lead. Just in behind is Deficit Hawk. Extreme outside, Possessed is gaining ground, and the field comes for the top of the stretch. 5 of them stacked across. The half went in 47 and 1/5 seconds. Here's Deficit Hawk coming away with the lead. Possessed is on the outside, and one-sided is now back running in 3rd. Deficit Hawk holding off Possessed with a 16th to the wire. It's Deficit Hawk in front, Possessed second, and one-sided third. And that's the way it'll be under the line. Deficit Hawk takes it. Then Possessed, one-sided, and Summerhawk.
Well, one-sided did do a lot of the dirty work as the even money favorite, but it was 5-1. Hawk Deficit, another first-time starter out of the ever-dangerous Rick Violet barn, teaming up with Clarovich Stables, again, the son of Midnight Lute.
And I think this shows you that you don't heed the advice of the Paddock Insider at your own peril. 1260, Maggie Wolfendale picked this horse last night, and this was an extremely professional debut. He took dirt, he sat in the pocket, got a great ride from Manny Franco, and Rick Violet's first-time starters. They're always well prepared.
They really are, and he's a horse that I spotted down the 2-year-old sales and grown a lot. So I think there's still room for improvement with a promising New York bred and some other ones to probably keep your eye out for in the next coming months here in New York. But that'll do it for segment number 1. It's time for a break, and Richie and I will get back to the racing action on this Friday card in just a few moments. It's a dark one out there now as the Naira logo still shining through on this edition of Aqueduct Insider on MSG+. Maggie Wolfendale alongside Richard Migliore for this Friday edition, and it's right back into the racing action here today. We'll take a look at race number 7. It's a claiming 25 for fillies and mares 3 and up. Johnny I once again.
And they're off. And they all came away to a good start. My Tea Time has the lead here. And down on the inside is Colonel Juanita. Extreme outside. My Place. Pura Vida Zen's in between horses. And then it's the Wildcat Girl running in 5th. Almost 3 lengths. Off My Cloud is next in 6th. Another 4 to Swakopmund and CC's Pride. Ocean Boulevard trails the field in 9th. My Tea Time ran the opening quarter mile in 23 and 4/5 seconds and has the lead midway around the far turn, and the lead is 3 lengths. My Place is on the extreme outside. Colonel Juanita down at the rail. Then it's the Wildcat Girl, Pura Vida Zen, and Off My Cloud. Off the turn and into the stretch, and it's My Tea Time still there. My Tea Time by 3. Colonel Juanita down at the rail. The Wildcat Girl is on the outside of My Place. And then it's Off My Cloud and Pura Vida Zen. My Tea Time will take this field wire to wire. My Tea Time, the winner by 6 lengths. Colonel Juanita was second. 3-way photo for third. Among Off My Cloud, Pura Vida
the daughter
Zen.
of El Nino. You don't see many of his progeny running with those kind of distinct white marks on her neck. Got away with a pretty easy time in first quarter and first fractions and just waltzed it to the line.
Yeah, she really did. Had everything her own way, but she was good today. Ran on under apprentice Angel Cruz, and she's been very popular at the claim box. It seems to me, too, when you see Maggie horses get claimed consistently, there's something attractive about them. Makes trainers want them to bring her to their barn.
Well, we'll find out a little bit later if she actually did get claimed once again. I know there was a lot of shakes going on, but one that they didn't have to shake or drop any claims for, that was race number 8. It was an allowance race, and yes, these are 4-year-olds and upwards, as I'll keep on writing 2014, but Johnny I with the call.
Number 11, Sharp Quality, stumbled at the start, is at the back. Killaday is out for the lead. Mallory Street, privately speaking, right together second and third, with Blithely next in 4th and True Romance alongside in 5th. Then it's Violet Hour in 6th after the stumbling start. Sharp Quality now up to 7th. Sustainable is the trailer in 8th. And the quarter won in 23 and 1. Killaday leads here 3/4 of a length. Blithely on the outside. Mallory Street's in between horses. True Romance is 4 wide. Sharp Quality will be 5 wide. Privately Speaking is now back in 6th. Then it's Sustainable. And Violet Hour is the trailer as the field comes for the quarter pole. It's Blithely in between horses. Killaday down at the rail. True Romance on the outside. It's Blithely with a narrow lead over True Romance. Blithely and True Romance, the two of them heads apart as they pass the 8th pole. Blithely now by a half length. True Romance in second. Late move from Sustainable as they come for the wire. It is Blithely, the winner by a little more than a length. Then True Romance, Sustainable, and Violet Hour.
And it was the solo New York bred in this open allowance race, Blithely for Mark Henning, holding off the favorite True Romance, who just couldn't get by.
Now, and Blithely's never run a bad race sprinting. Her only bad race is when they stretched her out to a mile. She now runs her record to 4 wins with 2 seconds from 7 starts, but 4 and 2 with 6 starts sprinting. It's a very good filly. I thought the runner-up had every chance at her True Romance and just couldn't get by. But Blithely, a very pretty filly, was very resolute in victory.
Yeah, she was. She's been an impressive, stable star for Mark Henning and crew. So looking forward to seeing Blithely continued success around here in New York. But we do have some other races to get to. Let's take a look at the Fab Five. 1, 2, 4, 5, 9 with John E.I.
With Sonny, the field is at the top of the stretch, the half in 48 and 2/5 seconds. Glenbrook challenged here by Agate, and Senso is moving up on the outside. Here comes Senso now to take over the lead. Agate is second, and then Glenbrook and Peach Lake. Senso with the lead as they come down for the wire. And it will be Senso who takes the opener as the favorite. Agate was second, followed by Peach Lake. Hanging with Sonny came on for 4th. Quarters in 1:14 and 1. Big long shot Tree Fire. Down on the inside is Thug Daddy, then Robert Noble. But in the meantime, See No More has opened up a huge lead. See No More in front by 10. Gonna win by more than that. See No More by the length of the stretch here. Robert Noble second. Tree Fire was third, Thug Daddy fourth. At the top of the stretch, Flirtatious Spring in front, 2.5 lengths. Bella Facci chasing in second with Gingy in third. It is Flirtatious Spring, and now she's opened up even more here. Flirtatious Spring with a 6-length lead. The battle will be for second, and the chalky day continues here at Aqueduct. Even money favorite Flirtatious Spring checks in first. Bella Facci did get second. Gingy was third. Farther back, Little Ziller in fourth. Then Rock Show, Fallen to Faith is dropped out of it. Here comes Taylor Jagger now up to take over the lead. Star of the Forest is back running in second. Rock Show looks to move up down at the rail. Then it's Andromeda's Risk, Encryption Code, and Maxana. Taylor Jagger with a 3-length lead as they come on down for the wire. Maxana moves up on the outside, not going to catch Taylor Jagger. Maxana took second. Then Star of the Forest and Rock Show. Now is the leader. March 2 in front. Island Therapy on the outside as Eternal Bull drops back at the rail. Now a furlong to the finish. March 2 in front by 4. Island Therapy runs in second, and it's going to be March 2, the odds-on favorite to win decisively. March 2 by 7 lengths. Island Therapy was second. Then Eternal Bull. Key in Motion came on for 4th.
And wrapping up an easy victory, it was the favorite, March 2 in here at Ritchie. And let's kind of touch on the start to this Aqueduct meet that trainer Eddie Camille has gotten off to. It's incredible.
Yeah, his percentage is through the roof. His horses look terrific. They look more like they're coming out of Florida as opposed to being heading into winter in New York, and they're running that way. This horse was just a beautiful mover, and he finished the deal. He ran through the wire, Maggie.
Yeah, he really did. And that's how you want to see these kind of horses winning. And Eddie is now 5 for 9 in this Aqueduct Inner Track meeting. So kudos to his assistant Dave up here as well. And another one that had a big shakeup in the claim box was this last race too. So we'll get to that in a bit. But first we got to check in with our Frost Giant standout, our New York bred standout of the day. And I think a deserved winner of this is Blithely.
Yeah, well, Blithely, like we were talking about, she's basically has never run a bad race sprinting. It looked like True Romance had every shot at her right here, and she went on about her business. And I like this filly. I think she's pretty, but pretty is as pretty does, and she certainly gets it done.
Well, maybe it has to do with her dam named Mary Lynn Monroe.
Yeah, there you go.
And also a daughter of exchange rate. But if you want a diversified stallion, you got to check out Frost Giant.
Yeah, his horses seem to be able to excel at anything. They run on turf or dirt, they run long or short, and they have the same kind of resolute attitude that Blythley just exhibited. When they get in a fight, they want to win.
Yeah, that's true. They are up for a fight, that is for certain, as we'll check in with the jockeys. Standing up on top of the leaderboard is Jose Ortiz, who seems to come in every day and ride multiple winners.
And you can see how much fun he's having if you go back and watch the replay of him winning on March 2. He rode about 50 yards past the wire, and that's when a guy is just into it and enjoying what he's doing.
And it's funny, when you watch him come back to scales when he hasn't won, completely stone-faced, like, oh, you know, he wants to go back and watch the replay and figure out what he did wrong and hope to go out and win the next one. As we'll check out trainer standings, no surprises there. David Jacobson sits atop with 11.
Yeah, and Gary Gullo, we were talking about him last night, having a terrific meeting. Linda Rice as well, and Eddie Keneally, what a percentage.
Yeah, excuse me, he's 6 for 10 now, I think. So taking a look at owners, David Jacobson and Michael Dubb, who's done very well in 2014 and looking to continue that in 2015.
And the Rapoli stable, Chester and Mary Broman, a lot of the same names we see up there on top of the leaderboard throughout the entire year, not just winter, but winter, spring, summer, and fall.
And the Bromans run such an incredible breeding program. Always look forward to seeing their 2-year-olds come summertime, as we'll check out the claims. Look at that. Pretty much all of race 7 was taken today. A 5-way shake for Colonel Juanita, though. That goes to Danny Gargan.
A lot of shakes today. Obviously, race 7 was very popular at the claim box. And March 2, a shake for him as well. And he looks like a pretty good claim for $25,000.
Exactly. Now eligible for the starter 25s. And Christmas isn't going anywhere, at least as far as the Empire State building is concerned. And neither are we, as we have one more break here on Aqueduct Insider. Welcome back to Aqueduct Insider, taking a look at the nicely lit Aqueduct Grandstand as we are safe, warm here in our second floor studios for this edition on MSG Plus. Maggie Wolfendale, Richard Migliore, as we head into the final turn, which the newly turned 3-year-olds will be doing tomorrow in the feature Jerome Stakes. Richie, a grade 3 worth $200,000, and it kicks off 3-year-old Derby prep season, which is always a great time of year.
The Trail of the Derby starts tomorrow here in New York, and it's nice to have a comprehensive series of races once again in New York leading to the Kentucky Derby. The Jerome, and then you have the Withers, and then on to the Gotham and the Wood Memorial. So we have 4 preps, and they all have points involved as well as good purses. I
have a trivia question for you. Who was the last winner of the Jerome to go on to win the Kentucky Derby?
Wow. The last winner of the Jerome. Well, the Jerome was after the Derby then, right? Is that correct?
No. It's not that far.
Wow, I'm at a loss.
I'm pretty sure. Maybe you're right, but
no, I'm at a loss. It's all right.
Fusaichi Pegasus. Whether it was before or after.
He won after.
Still,
he did win it
after. It was after.
Okay.
There we go.
Fair enough.
There we go. I was trying to stump the master. Obviously, I got stumped. But as we do take a look at the morning line favorite, breaking from the outside, post number 9 still doesn't have a rider as of now for trainer John Terranova, El Kabir, in the Kentucky Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Well, he's got a lot of things stacked up against him. I thought this was a terrific race in the Kentucky Jockey Club. First start around 2 turns. He made the lead there and went on about his business, albeit the second place finisher was getting to him late. But he's got a lot of things against him tomorrow, Maggie, that we already touched on. Outside post position and other speeds to his inside. He might have to show another dimension.
If you rode him, what would you do?
Well, I think you have to come out running and hope that either horses that are really fast go on, and then you find a break, or if nobody goes, you go on.
And one that does have speed, at least going long he has. That's Australenka, who's trying to overcome a bad performance in the Remsen, but he looked good here in the Sleepy Hollow.
He really looked good in the Sleepy Hollow, and I'm going to put a line right through the Remsen. He was in an impossible position on an inside track. He was basically chasing 3, 4, 5 wide in between horses. I'm going to put a line through it. I know Australenka is better than his last effort.
I really agree with you there. I mean, he was up against it in a completely speed biased and inside kind of rail day. So
Yeah.
I really want to forgive Ostralenka for that. Breaks from post 4 tomorrow for trainer Todd Pletcher. And we'll go and look at a sprinter stretching out who does have a bit of speed, and that was Accurate, who's coming out of a Parks Allowance race. Can he stretch?
Well, you have to think he's going to be part of the pace coming out of sprints, albeit he comes from just off the pace last time. He's come from further back. But generally speaking, when horses stretch out coming off sprints, they show speed. I'm not feeling this horse as a two-turn type horse. His grandsire on the top line, his Pentelicus, was complete sprinter, and he has the look more of a sprinter to me.
I actually completely agree with you, especially looking at him as a physical and considering that pedigree and just that kind of early speed that he tends to have. Tough to stretch that out. But one that's stretching out too that does have the pedigree to do so is number 8, NASA in here, who comes in, who is a son of Smarty Jones for those same connections.
When watching him here, and I had made note of this earlier, even though he's not the same color as Smarty Jones, he looks extremely like his sire. Even the stride, the way he carries his head, he looks like Smarty Jones to me. Now, was it the mud last time, or was it just the horse that actually is improving?
I want to go with the latter there, Richie, as he is also out of a dam who was by Seattle Slew herself, so he has Kentucky Derby winners all around in his pedigree.
He does, and the fact of the matter is, too, he's come from off the pace. He's versatile, so I think he's a horse that can get position and maybe fall into the right trip.
Yeah, hopefully he does at a bit of a price, but Andy Sterling, our resident handicapper, has a bit of a different idea in the Jerome tomorrow. Let's see what he thinks.
The 2015 road to the Kentucky Derby begins at the Big A. 17 big Derby points are up for grabs in the Jerome, the 8th race. Let's try to find some prices in the Jerome. I think there's going to be a lot of speed in this race. Certainly El Kabir is the main speed, but there are other speed horses in here, and I'm going to hope the race falls apart a little bit. I tried the 2 Royal Berg in the Remsen. You see how that works out? He beat one horse. But you know what? I didn't love the ride he got that day. And it's not that he was going to win the race. He was just completely dragged out of the race. Was dominating the front end like so many races. I like his first start. I believe he deserves one more chance. He draws well. More importantly, he'll be a very big price. One more chance for Royal Bergen here in a race where I think Todd Pletcher is going to have a big say because the 4 Ostralenka is very dangerous as well as we go back to Richie and Maggie.
And Andy going with the higher price of the Pletcher duo, and want to kind of go back to NASA, Richie. His sire, Smarty Jones, won what was this race a couple years ago.
Yeah, the Count Fleet, and now it's the Jerome. They just kind of reshuffled the deck a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Smarty Jones, people forget, did some good racing on the inner track before he headed to the Triple Crown Series.
And undefeated all the way through to the Preakness. We'll see what NASA has to offer in the Jerome tomorrow, and make sure you tune in tomorrow for a recap of that race. But it's time to say goodnight on behalf of Richard Migliore. I'm Maggie Wolfendale. Thanks for tuning in to this Aqueduct Insider.